One of the interesting trends over the last several hundred years, and was highlighted with Sir Isaac Newton, if he had a problem that he could not address directly, and his was gravity. He said that gravity was caused by the hand of God. I like it, it's very poetic, but it's not very scientific. There are four fundamental forces. You got gravity, you've got electromagnetism, you've got the strong force and the weak force holding the nuclei of an atom together. We have no proof of any of these things being fundamental forces. We observe things that lead us theoretically there. We can't alter gravity, so we can't really test it. We can't see or touch the little small stuff. It's too small for our technology. But we can manipulate electromagnetism. You extend the definition of energy to include massless space and ether. Then you can eliminate all the fundamental forces based on the flow of that energy and the interaction of that energy with subatomic particles. We need to demand more out of our theoretical physicists. We cannot use fundamental forces that cannot be explained by anybody as the core to both our large physics and our small physics, and we're doing that today. We are not drawn to the earth. We are in a flow of energy that is flowing to the earth. If you hold out your hand, you can feel the resistance. You can feel the drag toward the earth. It is not dissimilar to putting your hand into a stream and having the water flow through your fingers. There's a drag that goes through you. When you stand up in the morning, you feel it. You're being dragged down to the earth. When you look at a large mountain and you're seeing rocks come down the side and erosion, it's being dragged toward the earth. And it's being dragged by a flow of energy that is driven by the energy needs of all of the subatomic particles within the body of the earth. No different than the moon or the sun or a galaxy. It's all the flows of energy and interacting with matter that drive all motion in the universe. As it passes through our bodies, it is providing a very tiny amount of drag on all of the fields that it encounters as it goes through us. The larger the object, the more the atoms, the greater the demand for energy, the greater the gravitational attraction. Everybody, even remotely connected to physics, knows something's wrong. It's confused, it's disjointed, it conflicts with itself. There is a problem. The question that needs to be answered is, how do you solve the problem? Do you continue ahead on the path that we're on, trusting that Einstein's theory of relativity and quantum physics is the answer and you can find a little tweak later? Or do you have to go back to the core and fix it there? We've learned a lot over the last 100 years. We have piles and piles and piles of theories that were put in place to basically put fingers in the dike of a failing model. It's not unlike what happened back in 1650 when telescope technology began to advance to a point where people outside of the mainstream scientists, outside of the Catholic Church, could observe the orbits of planets. All of the mainstream scientists, the best and the brightest, back in 1650, learned that the Earth is the center of the universe. That was an unimpeachable fact. So they start coming in with all of these really bizarre observations about the movements of planets. The Church tossed it over to the mathematicians and said, make sense of this. And they ended up with this incredibly confused model with the Earth at the center, the sun doing retro orbits and the moon's doing retro orbits and things reversing in orbit. Brilliant mathematical work. Finally, the Church relented and let them put the sun in the center of the universe, and voila, you've got this really clean model that we use today. Same thing's happening today. All these guys learned these things in grade school. They never made it into the physics establishment unless they drank the Kool-Aid, unless they bought into the Church of Einstein. Those things are no longer debatable. If the answer to the problem conflicts with what they believe to be a fact, they can't get there. It's not a self-correcting system.
Join the conversation at beyondeinstein.org.